episode 18 of the Fit Pro podcast.
When dudes start out in the industry, how we always try to fit in, and the more time and the more years you spend, you realize that you actually got to really stand out. You got to do your own thing. You don't have to confine to what society dictates that it is, what is your job description.
Hello listeners, it's your host Marvin Fayez, and before we get into the show today, as always, I'd like to say a few words. If you haven't gone to fitpropodcast.com, make sure you head there right now. Press pause on the podcast, head to fitpropodcast.com, and leave a review on your favorite episode. As always, this helps us a lot, and I really, really appreciate it. I think you'll notice a new addition to the Fit Pro podcast. There should be a banner or a picture of me wearing a hella clean shirt from Alpha State Apparel, and if you click on that, you can go to their store and get your own. I did a photo shoot on Saturday, which was actually kind of cool. I've never done one before, and I really hope I get to do one again. But I love supporting local entrepreneurs, and so should you. If you have the time and you have the money, make sure you head to alphastateapparel.com.au and pick yourself up a few of them bitches. Alright, now that being said, listeners, enjoy this episode. It comes to you all the way from South Africa. Enjoy. Welcome back to the Fit Pro podcast. I'm your host Marvin Fayez, and today we've got a special guest all the way from South Africa, Vuyani Mashego. He's a PT, sports conditioning coach, CrossFit competitive expert, and a fitness enthusiast. Vuyani, you ready to go?
Locked and loaded, Marvin. How you doing?
Good, brother. Thanks for coming on. We've been trying to tee this up for the longest time, guys. I don't know how... I don't know if you know how hard it is to connect people from other side of the world, but we get over it eventually. And Vuyani, just take a second, let the people know who you are personally, and then we'll get into the show.
Right, so as you said, my name is Vuyani Mashego. Mashego, one and the same. It's pretty chill. Fitness enthusiast. I've been in this industry for about 5+ years now. Started with the whole resistance training. Initially, the whole goal was, the end game was to get stronger for provincial basketball and national basketball. That was my first passion. And I just kind of deviated from that. How you start training, you get into the whole aesthetic, trying to look good and muscular and whatnot. And then from then on, it deviated to more functional training once I discovered CrossFit. And that's been the main goal now. That, and just trying to grow in this industry. You know how it goes. In this industry, you do have a shelf life, and it's all about reinventing yourself and just trying to ascend to the next level. So that's a little bit of insight into me and where my head's at.
Perfect, man. And look, I knew I'd like you because I love basketball myself. Before we get into the show, who's your favorite team?
Okay, well, it was a sport that I walked away from, but when I was well into it, I still followed every now and then. But the team that I initially started supporting was in the early 2000s. I've always been a Celtic, man. I mean, back in 2008 when the Celtics beat the Lakers, man, my team had like Rondo, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. Man, that was my team. Doc Rivers was the head coach. That was my team.
That was the team. You guys had Ray Allen as well, didn't you?
Pardon?
You had Ray Allen as well at the same time, didn't you?
Oh man, how did I forget Ray? Yeah. Ray Allen, of course. Only the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. Even though, what was that movie that he acted in, man? Where his name was Jesus. What was it called, man? Shit, man. That was a classic movie too. But yeah, Ray Allen, that's my man. Yeah, that was my team, bro. What about you?
For me at the moment, look, I don't really have a team because in Australia it's not as televised, but
yeah, same this side, man.
It's good to follow. Like if you follow the regular season properly, obviously you're rooting for the Cavs this last season to win.
I saw Bron and the Cavs and Kyrie Irving. They were doing some serious work, man. Kevin Love and they did some stuff. So
I mean, LeBron's done so much now. You can't deny his greatness and what he's done. He's
Man,
obviously
I've always been a LeBron fan. I've never hated on the guy. If anything, when I started watching basketball, a guy I just couldn't get to like. But I learned to respect him was Kobe Bryant. But I mean, geez, you know what? Every single time I watched him play, and then he'd do that step back 3-point shooter that you just couldn't like defend.
You can't
the commentators would like, they'd be like, nah, that's just Kobe being Kobe. You can't even defend that. I would hit you with that pump fake, and then you'd foul him, and then he'd get the and one, and then, oh man, I remember like I used to dislike him. Then I really, really grew to respect his game, and I actually he's one of those guys who just could not like dislike. So I was always a LeBron, I was a Melo fan. I really, really learned to like Kobe too.
Absolutely, man. And like, even this finals, even though obviously he was nowhere near it, but I think it was Game 7, and Curry did a step back over Curry at the 3-point line. And he was saying in his interview, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, Mamba mentality the whole time.
You got it, bro. You got it. It's always Mamba mentality, man.
And you see it emulated, because LeBron does the same thing as Kobe with the turnaround jumper, but then it was Michael Jordan first, so Kobe was emulating that.
Yeah. Straight up. That's it. I mean, that turnaround jumper, that step back shot, oh, man. I mean, even Dirk Nowitzki had it a couple of years back when the Mavs won. Man, I remember. He just hit the 1-2 dribble, he'd turn and he'd step back and he'd fade. Guys wouldn't even know what to do.
But, like, the whole thing, we should just call this podcast Basketball Talk, but the whole...
Straight up.
Like, even like LeBron's whole mentality, I respect the dude. I like how he plays, but then Kobe Bryant had this whole going away tour, basically this retirement tour for the last season, and people forget that not a lot of players like this dude. No, you didn't have. A lot of people don't like him, and even for him, it was like, this is kind of weird, because you get people like Tim Duncan, who just retired like that a few weeks ago. It's like, okay, I'll get somebody else to say I retired. I don't even need a tour, whatever, I'm out. But like, that whole tour was sort of like a big facade, and even Kobe was like, what the hell is going on here?
Man, it was dramatic. It was dramatic, man. That was insane.
So for any personal trainers or anybody listening out there, that is how you build rapport. All right?
Straight up, bro. Straight up.
So let's get into it a little bit now, Vuyani. The reason you came on this podcast was, again, to share insights into the industry. But before we get there, I want to know, and the listeners want to know, what do you do at the moment to generate revenue?
What do I do to generate revenue? Yes, so as you said in the introduction, I'm a PT, personal trainer, sports conditioning coach, and CrossFit enthusiast, and as well as the CrossFit head coach at my box, which is CrossFit Urban Shack Unite. So I coach majority of the classes. I do personal training one-on-one, as well as I forgot about the corporate fitness too. So there are a couple of corporate companies that we do 12-week challenges, that we do pretty much lunchtime or like spread out classes throughout the day for the guys to kind of get their fitness on. So it's pretty much anything and everything to do with fitness, that and above, as well as how I met Neil was through Health and Fitness Professionals Academy. That's where you go to study to become a fitness expert. I teach functional training. So what I did was I came up with a manual in which we kind of try to get the fundamentals or the whole ideology of what functional training is about onto a manual, in which I then delivered, and I still have to teach and lecture. So that's predominantly what I do, as well as compete in any sort of CrossFit competition that I can, you know. So I'm pretty just run around quite a lot.
Perfect, man. And that's generally the lifestyle of a coach, where you find there's all these things that fit under the umbrella of what you can do, and I think people sort of forget that when they become a personal trainer, is that you're not really you don't have to stay in your lane. There's so many other can go on to. So
don't
it's good
ever
to
stay in your lane. It's a trap, bro. It's a trap. I was actually on Instagram yesterday, and a mate of mine shared a video with some motivational speaker talking about how when dudes start out in the industry, how we always try to fit in, you know, and the more time and the more years you spend, you realize that you actually gotta really stand out. You know, you gotta do your own thing. You don't have to confine to what society dictates that it is, you know, what is your job description. And that's what we briefly spoke about before we started the podcast, about how I was trying to branch out, or pretty much branching out into several different things.
And man, it is so true, because you want to fit out. You don't want to fit in. There's so many other PTs in the industry now that are fitting in and getting lost amongst the shit. Like you got to differentiate yourself. You don't start a business that's exactly like your neighbor and expect to make money. So you got to literally, you got to think outside the box. What are your strengths? For example, I had a guest on the show, one of my first guests, James Bodley. This dude basically does CrossFit training, but with kettlebells only, and he gets pissed every weekend. So he's this lifestyle. He's like this lifestyle warrior. He's from the UK. He's ripped to shit. And yeah, he's like, look, I'm fit and healthy during the week. Come the weekend, I can eat whatever the fuck I want. I can drink whatever the fuck I want. But I'm still gonna have my gym on Monday. I'm still gonna come and I'm gonna kick everybody's ass. So it's like that. Do you watch UFC?
Look, I know of it. I'm not gonna say I watch it avidly. So
yeah,
I can't tell you the who's.
Okay, do you know John Jones? Everybody in the world.
I'm familiar with it.
John
Jones. No, I know the. I'm about to put myself on blast. Let's just say I don't know UFC, man.
It's easier. But there's this guy in the UFC, right? He's sort of he's out of the UFC at the moment for a bit of trouble, but he's hands down, apparently by everyone's standards, the best fighter there's ever been, pound for pound, best, right? And the only person that beats him is him. But his training mentality, this was a dude who could go out every single night, again, just drunk, he was doing drugs, he was doing all the bad shit, right? But he'd go to the gym at 4 in the morning and kick everybody's ass naturally. Just kick everybody.
That is not something. That's not the first time I've heard that. I've done a couple of years, actually, not UFC, but I am very familiar with Western boxing. So I've got a mate who I started boxing back in 2008, man, and it's one of those things that I haven't lost. It's like learning to ride a bike. I box recreationally, but I got friends that are boxing coaches, boxing instructors, you know, semi-professional fighters, hardcore dudes, you know. And he was telling me the same story. He's talking about how, you know, he's got his boys, he'd have a fight, and then like maybe in that same week or within the week before, he'd go out and party, get drunk, you know, do the stuff that you do at parties, and then still go train hard and go fight and go win. You know, I think that's like a fighter's lifestyle, man. Like, they live like rock stars.
They live like rock stars, and their mentality is insane. And I think it's again, anybody that's a winner of that caliber, I think your mentality is completely different, where you can push through it. Like, if I got drunk today and had to go work out and like tomorrow, I would feel it. I would feel it. I wouldn't like myself.
I think all of us would, bro.
It just wouldn't suit me. But when you get these, again, freak athletes and just people that have this mentality that nothing's going to stop them from doing what they're here to do, which is kick this guy's ass or be the best in the world at what they're doing. And I assume maybe one day when this podcast gets big, I'm going to be like, okay, nothing's going to stop me from doing this podcast. I'm going to wake up at 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10, whenever I have to do this podcast. I'm going to be drunk and I'm going to do this podcast. But I digress. I digress. Now, Vuyani, was there ever a moment, because I find a lot of coaches have this moment where they go, this is really hard. This has gotten to a point where I've reached a crossroads and I can either go back to what I was doing before or I can keep on the track that I'm going on now.
Well, to answer your previous question and that, I think you previously, before you spoke about the UFC, you asked me what my strengths were. Right?
Yep.
I'll get back to that question. Yeah, you're talking about the guy from the UK who taught CrossFit with only kettlebells. As much as I do CrossFit, I initially started with functional training and resistance training. So, initially when I started the personal training, when I went into the industry, everything was about resistance and isolation training. So I spent a good couple of years doing that. Then from then on, it spread out into functional training. So I've had several years working with kettlebells, BOSUs, Swiss balls, sandbags, TRX suspension trainers, anything and everything to do with functional movements. Hence, that's how I got involved with the functional training as well. And then from then on, the cherry on top was just the CrossFit, where we got the Olympic weightlifting. I don't want to call it Olympic weightlifting, it's called weightlifting, the gymnastics and the monostructural or the metabolic conditioning work. So it's kind of like all this parts of like a plethora of or array of different types of training that I got access to, which I feel only benefits with regards to the niche and the market that you can access. Hence, that's why I said I wanted to get into the whole Pilates, which is what I'm going to get into, and the public speaking. You know, a lot of guys do need reassurance and they do need motivational talking, and that's why I wanted to just kind of like jack that up by going through sports psychology. And then coming back to the other question that you're talking about, low points, and if the industry getting a bit too hard. Prior to this, I pretty much didn't really do anything. I kind of went straight out of school into the industry. You know, I just spent a bit of time shadowing or just kind of getting to know the industry from one of the trainers that was at a local like gym. And then from then on, I kind of realized this is what I wanted to do. So it did get tricky when I transitioned over from a gym, a fitness center, to a CrossFit box. That is when I'm sure any other trainer will tell you the same story about relocating, possibly, or moving over, how trying to retain your clients or the guys that you train is always a headache. It's a pain in the butt because a lot of them promise or they verbally commit to following you, then you find yourself moving over and probably 90% of the guys stay, and you kind of like hit the restart button where you have to now build up your base again, build up the trust and build up the reputation. So I think that was the hardest part, was moving from a fitness center, like a proper gym, a pretty nice high-end gym, to a CrossFit box, which is still super quality, but it's two completely different markets, if you know what I mean. You know, you got the whole gym, the mirrors, the dumbbells, that whole vibe, treadmills and whatnot, where you move over to a CrossFit box, which is ours is more like a high performance center. It looks very good, it's neat, it's tidy, it's got a lot of space. You know, there are no mirrors, it's all functional. You got the ropes, you got the sledge, you got the kettlebells, you got the 20 meter or 30 meter rig. You know, there is a designated strength training section, but it's just very different from the field. So I think that was a bit of a shock. That took a bit of time to get accustomed to, and I had to kind of restart and build up from there. So that for me was a pretty tough point in my career.
Okay, and how did you get over that point? Because I've done it as well, where I've moved gyms, and because again I'm a personal trainer, and I've worked in, let's say, about 5 commercial gyms at this point in my life. I don't do it anymore, but again I understand the differences between the two types. They're completely different environments. But every time I left, it was too much of a hassle to try and get people to come across with me. I didn't even bother, and it was starting from the ground up again. And it's sort of, you almost like, oh, okay, I'm brand new here, but I've got 2 years of experience over there.
Straight up, bro. And it's got into that point. Like, I mean, it's not even a deal. It ain't no big. Like, I mean, if I do find myself ever having to relocate, it's not a case of I won't be sitting there like, shit, man, like, I don't know how I'm going to get some clients. Like, I've been doing this for a couple of years. I feel like I'm pretty darn good at what I do. I feel like it's reassured by the members and the clients or all the people that I've pretty much trained in my time. And it would never really be such a big concern. Like, so when you're saying that you got all this experience, it's the same thing, you know. So, I mean, you asked another question which I didn't answer. You said, what did I do? What was the solution to that? I kind of just put my head down, man. I tried to understand the market, and I tried to, like I said earlier on, I had to almost like reinvent myself, you know. So that's what I did. You know, I ate, I lived, I slept, I still do like CrossFit. I kind of like, I told myself, you know what, I'm gonna be a big deal in this industry, in this country, and I'm gonna make everybody want to train with me, or at least know of me. If you don't know of me, you'll know that there's a bit of hype, and that's what I did.
Perfect, man. And
without trying to sound too self-aggrandizing, I'm sorry, bro. I don't like to.
This is basically a podcast celebrating you, man. So the listeners, right? The listeners want to hear what makes you and how they can become like you. And again, we don't want you to be a cookie cutter version of Vuyani. What we want you to do is take his insights and ideologies and go maybe make them your own and do what you do, right? So, Vuyani, have you done any trials for like the CrossFit Games and stuff?
I've done quite a couple of opens. Done quite a couple of local competitions. I haven't. I was thinking about it now as I was about to get onto the podcast. But what are my accolades? What are my accomplishments? And I feel like my resume doesn't actually do it justice. There's so many intangibles. So like you're talking about turning myself inside out. I feel like I said, I feel like what I've won or what I've accomplished doesn't do anything justice. I think we followed each other on social media, and I'm sure you had a chance to look at like my Instagram or my Facebook page and whatnot. And I find that having a really good presence on social media has been like a big thing too. As much as like something as silly as me posting what I did. I mean, I posted something that I did today a couple of hours ago, and then like I run into some other dudes at a competition, and they'll walk up to you and they'll be like, "Whoa, man, like I just want to come talk to you and tell you that you're the truth. You're doing some real shit. You're doing some seriously dope stuff." And I saw it on Instagram, and I want you to keep that shit up, stuff like that.
And that was the end of episode 18, listeners. If you really enjoyed that episode as much as I do, I think you'll be hanging for part 2. We've got so much more to discuss. Now, that was episode 18. The next one will come out in episode 20. The reason I say that is because I'm going to put another one smack bang in the middle of this week, and I'm going to try and do that for every single week. Try and get you more content, better content, and be the host, the people's host, and give you my opinion on certain things because I think you care. I know you care. If you don't care, I don't care. Alright, so you're going to hear from me middle of the week, and this episode in the middle of the week, so that would be episode 19, will be about people and their lack of action because of the time it will take for them to achieve something. I think that's a very important topic to talk about, as well as there's some learnings that I can teach on that subject. That being said, if you haven't already, make sure you head to alphastateapparel.com.au, buy yourself one of those original tees. There's the black one with the original print, and there's a white one with the alpha print. Just go to the website. I command you. If you go to the Nike store, those are not the shirts you're looking for. Make sure you head to alphastateapparel.com.au and pick yourself up some of them bitches. Peace.